All right, all right. Welcome, welcome. Super excited about today's episode. Thank you for joining me, whether you are joining me live or if you are watching the replay. Thank you for joining me today. Yes. So, my name is Aldreama Harper. By way of introduction, I'm a podcast launch strategist, organizing and business consultant, and host of the OrganizedPreneur podcast. And so, with more than 20 years of professional organizing and organizing consultant and launching several podcasts, I decided to combine my areas of expertise and passion into my business and podcasting endeavor. So, my area of expertise and passion are business, organizing, and podcasting. That's my bop, right? But I'm here to help guide you through some of the complexities based on my experience. So I want to guide you through some of the complexities, the overwhelm, the pitfalls from my experience, and things that you may be feeling like it's daunting when it comes to launching your podcast, staying organized, or even you're creating your podcast haven, which is what we're going to be talking about today. And so the skills that you're going to be acquiring from today will be transferable and applicable to various aspects of your business. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. So, what can you expect? Well, you can expect actionable insights, practical tools, and things that you can apply immediately to launch and grow your podcast. So, the steps that I'm sharing with you are foundational building blocks to prepare you for a more successful podcast launch. Okay. So I want you to take notes, but more importantly, I want you to take action. Okay. That is the key. There's a lot of information out there, but a lot of people, as a matter of fact, I just talked to one of my new clients and she was saying that, she like, in other words, she has a lot of information, but her struggle was taking action and implementing. Um, so, yeah, you can find information everywhere, but are you implementing? That would be the key. So, let's go ahead and just dive in. So, podcasting is not just about creating content, right? It's also about strategically positioning yourself in a competitive market. Yes, podcasting is a competitive market. So it is business, online business, right? As a matter of fact, related to podcasting, there are, as of 2024, according to podcastindex.org, there are over 4.4 million podcasts. So standing out requires a concerted effort in building a loyal audience, effectively marketing your show, and implementing the various monetization strategies that are available to you. And I know that this process can be daunting, right? But with the right approach, it really can be incredibly rewarding. So, welcome to the today's class or episode or what have you. But today we're going to be talking about creating your podcast haven. Now, this is part two. And so, but we are going to explore how the right environment can drastically improve the quality of your podcast. And so this is for you if you are eager to create the right podcasting environment. In other words, your podcast haven. So we're going to guide you through understanding the importance of your environment, assessing the space options, implementing the right solutions for your office and podcasting studio. Now, this is not specifically about equipment, but it's about creating the environment that's conducive for a better experience for you and your listeners. So the thing is that you want your podcasting environment to enhance the quality of your recordings, and that makes the process more enjoyable and efficient so that you can deliver a great podcast, right? Something that captivates your audience and retains your audience. It's all important, right? And so we previously talked about how the recording environment plays a critical role in your overall quality of your podcast, including poor acoustics, background noise, distractions, all of those things can detract from your content. And that makes it, difficult for listeners to stay engaged, right? And for you to stay focused. But a well-designed podcast space, your haven, right, will ensure that your audio is clear, professional, and enjoyable to listen to and watch, especially when you're working from home, right? And you don't have the space that's dedicated to a full-blown studio or what have you. You want to make sure that this is an enjoyable experience for the listeners, right? So, um, and so we talked about in the last time we talked about visual noise, and what visual noise refers to is the clutter and disorganization in your visual field, right? Which you see, the things that can detract you, distract you, and hinder your ability to focus. This includes anything like piles of paper, maybe piles of paper on your desk, excessive decorations, tangled up cords, all of these things, even all of those browser tabs you have open on your computer. That can also be distracting, right? And so, but today what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about how to. While I was saying that, I wanted to make sure that I that I turn my phone down too. So it's right here, but I don't want that to detract or distract from you enjoying this content, right? So anyway, so today we're talking about, specifically, we're talking about budget-friendly DIY solutions for your podcast haven. Budget-friendly DIY solutions for your podcast haven. Now, when you're first starting out, when you're first launching your podcast, you may not have the liberty of creating this big, huge studio like what you see people, doing. You may not have the liberty or the finances, to create that kind of environment, right? But we're going to talk about some solutions that I believe, that will really help you create a professional sounding podcast without breaking the bank. So if this is for you, I want you to lean in, right? So you got to understand, though, the basics. Let's just talk about the basics before I offer the solutions, right? So let's understand why this is so crucial. Why is this so crucial that your environment, is conducive, right? And I shared a little bit of that, but here's the thing: a dedicated and well organized space can significantly improve the quality and the overall experience and minimize the distractions, reducing the noise, and make you feel more professional and confident, right? And here's the thing, though: setting up a podcast space, it doesn't have to cost a fortune. You don't have to break the bank, right? Because there's plenty of solutions out there. Now, as you know, that one of the things that I shared, at least even on the previous podcast or the previous class, was that there is my signature system for where you can get started. So I'm going to just share that really quick, and then we'll talk about the solutions, right? Because this is foundational to you even getting started, right? So we're going to apply my signature process to set the foundation for your DIY solutions. So my signature process, is the APACT system. And I'm going to give you the acronym, and then I'll describe what that process is. So there's five parts to this system. So it's the APACT system, APACT. So A stands for assess, right? The first thing you want to do is look around, assess the space, and look for areas that you can use for podcasting. So you want to make sure that it's conducive for the right acoustics, and you can do that by clapping your hands to make sure that you don't, there's no echoes and things like that. Clapping your hands or plucking or whatever, snapping your finger. I didn't mean plucking your fingers. You can't pluck your fingers. Anyway, I digress on that. But you want to assess the area. You want to make sure that you have the right area that's conducive for your podcast. Now, that could be a closet, right? I've done that. As a matter of fact, my husband recorded his audio book in the closet. My studio used to be in the closet. It is amazing, the acoustics that you can, that the perfect acoustics would be a closet area. But now, maybe your closet is too junky, right? That could happen too. But anyway, what you want to do is assess the area. That is my point, right? So that's the A. The P is for purge. You want to clear out any unnecessary items. Any unnecessary items, because you want to minimize the visual noise. So if that closet doesn't work for you, right, you need to find a different space where you are less distracted. Okay. Remove anything that can contribute to your recording process. This could be old papers. This could be random knickknacks, all of these type of things that can really affect the quality of your podcast recording time. Okay. So that's purge. You want to clear out any unnecessary items. The A in APACT stands for assign. So you want to designate specific areas for your podcasting activities. For instance, decide where your recording spot is going to be, where you're going to store your equipment, where will you do your editing. Now, some people have the luxury of having a large office or a large space that, they may have their editing, they do their editing, in one area on their desk, or then they have the recording, space designated, on their area on their desk. Some of us don't have that luxury. So some of us are doing it all in one space. So but the point is, you have to decide where that will be, where you're going to store your equipment. Where are you going to do your editing? Is that all going to be in one space, or what? Right? So this helps to keep everything organized and within reach, because if you have to get up to go and do something, find something, or make sure that you have everything available and easily accessible is the key. But if you have to go outside of that, it's going to delay you, it's going to distract you, it's going to do, hinder your progress. Okay, so the A is for assigning. Designate specific areas for your activities. Containerize, that's the C. Use containers, bins, drawers, or whatever to organize your podcasting gear, right? This can be like a little small cart. I see a lot of people using, in their office, a little cart where they just kind of roll it. It's on wheels, so they roll it around, and they have little their items on a little cart where you can roll it around, bring it to the area that you're going to be working in, or recording your podcast in, and put those things back on the cart, and then put it back in its designated area. And let me tell you, that's the key to decluttering, right? So a small cart, you can buy that on Amazon or whatever. You can, and you can use that really for like storing your microphone, your accessories, your cables, things like that. The goal is just to make it easier to find what you need and not hinder you in the process. Okay. The T stands for tidy up. Okay. You want to regularly clean and organize your space. A tidy environment, ladies and gentlemen, makes it reduces stress, and it helps you to maintain a professional environment when you do this on a regular basis. So you want to tidy up, make it a habit. to do that after each recording. Okay. All right. Now let's move on to the next. So that was the first thing. Um, understanding the basics, then using the APACT system for getting the space ready, your podcast haven ready. Okay. So now we're ready to talk about some solutions. Okay. So let's talk about it. So the first thing I want to talk about are some soundproofing solutions, which really is, essential for your environment. You want to make sure that you have some type of solutions that will enhance the quality and prevent all of the background noise and soundproof the space, right? So here are some budget friendly alternatives to soundproofing your space. You can use blankets and pillows. Now, I did, a few seconds ago, I did talk about, using the closet, right? But if that's you can't do that, then consider blankets. They are excellent for dampening your sound, right? You can hang the blankets on the walls around you. I remember when I had my closet, I was using my closet for my podcasting. The clothes, first of all, were really essential in helping to dampen the sound. But I also put like a wall of curtains in front of the clothes because I didn't want to see the clothes, right? And so that even further dampened the sound and enhanced the quality of my podcast. So you can use, and this is actually what I did. I used curtain rods and I hung the curtains on inside of the closet to cover up all of the clothes so that I wouldn't see them. They were gold and all that kind of stuff. So it really did create a great ambiance. And although I wasn't doing video podcasting, I was actually doing strictly audio, but it helped me in from being so distracted. It helped me in feeling like I was in an atmosphere of just it helped to create the ambiance. That's all I'm saying. All right. So you can use blankets, pillows, those type of things. You can use rugs and carpet. Now we all love hardwood. Yeah, we all do love hardwood floors and things like that, but they can cause echoes, right? And so laying down rugs or carpets is great for absorbing the sound. Okay, especially if you have a small space, you can just put it like right there in your little office area. Maybe you're using your desk like I am, and put a rug right at the bottom. Excuse me, underneath your desk. Not only does that feel cozy for your feet, right? But it also helps to absorb the sound. So it's functional, and it creates a great aesthetic, as well. So definitely do that. Rugs and carpets. Acoustic panels. So I know when you hear that, you think, well, do I have to go and buy, this foam stuff that people put on their walls and things like that? No, you don't necessarily have to do that. You can actually use some affordable materials. Like you can use canvas frames from a craft store, okay, or from Dollar Tree, which has a lot of solutions for that at a good price, and fill them with sound absorbing insulation and cover them up with fabrics. As a matter of fact, it's something that I'm thinking about doing because I have canvas, behind me, and I didn't think about it until I was starting to do this research. And I was like, hey, that is a great solution. So I'm sharing that with you, right? So, but it's going to be a project. I can tell you that. But anyway, this is a great solution to acoustic panels, right? You can fill them up with, some sound absorbing insulation, foam, or what have you, and then cover it up with fabric. Okay. Hang them on a wall, and that reduces the echo. Okay. All right. What about furniture arrangement? So, yes, I'm so glad you asked, because the way that you arrange your furniture can really impact the acoustic. So one of the solutions that I would suggest is, if you're in a space where you can, or maybe you're in your office, but bookshelves help, and put books there. But when you put bookshelves with books against the wall, that acts as a sound absorber. Okay. Soft furniture and chairs also helps to reduce sound reflections. So those are some great solutions for your DIY solutions for soundproofing. Okay. All right. Now let's talk about organizing your equipment, because that's important too. I talked a little bit about that, but keeping your equipment organized is absolutely key. Absolutely key to maintaining functional and an efficient podcasting space. So let's talk a little bit about that, because one of the things you're going to have are a lot of cables, right? And so, like cables, as you can see here, like I have a cable, to my mic. I've had this mic for quite some time, and I'm not ready to do anything, or invest in anything else as far as a microphone that doesn't require wiring or anything like that. I love my Yeti microphone. So but once I start to upgrade, I will look at other ways to reduce the cables. But in the meantime, I use Velcro ties, okay, to organize my cables and manage my cables, okay. And so what that does is that prevents all of the tangling and all of that stuff. It helps to keep your workspace tidy. And the other thing that you want to do when you're if you have a lot of cabling, and most of us do, if we're working from home, you want to label those cables so that you know exactly where it connects or what it connects to, right? Microphone and accessories, I was just talking about that. But when you store your microphones and your pop filters and all of that, you want to have a dedicated place for that. Like I have a closet right here that's next to me. Well, you can't see it right now, but especially if you're listening to the audio. But that's where I store my extra stuff, because I have other microphones. Before I upgraded to this one, I had another type of microphone that's really good, and I don't want to get rid of it. But I have some other equipment, that I have stored right now, and it is stored away and organized quite well, if I might add. So, but anyway, you want to store, my point is this, okay? You want to store your microphones and your pop filters and all of those other things, your stands and your lighting and all that kind of stuff. We have like a little, a container for our lighting, for when we are in our next space, because we're planning, that's one of the things that we're planning, is having, our next space where we can expand and use all of the equipment that we have available for that. So, but in the meantime, you want to store all of that stuff, in a place that is not distracting you. That is my point. It causes visual noise. Okay. Your desktop, I know I'm saying that over and over again, but keep your desktop clutter free. Use a desk organizer for your pens, your notebooks, and all these other knickknacks and smaller items. Just keep the space clear and clean. And as you go from one thing to the other, like if you're recording in one space, and then the next space is where you're going to be working and things like that, you want to make sure that everything is functional. Okay. So yeah, so make sure that your desktop is all clear. Okay. And everything is easily accessible. Okay. um Again, it doesn't have to be expensive. You can use your creativity, tap into your creativity, and deploy some DIY techniques Find some inspirational videos like on YouTube or wherever to build an effective environment on a budget. Okay. Now, consistency is key. Stick to your organizing habits. Keep your space tidy, right? Add a few little personal touches, a plant, photo, things like that to make sure that your space is comfortable and inspiring, right? You want to maybe you have some motivational pictures on the other side, of the wall that you can look at every day, or maybe you sit next to a window where you can look outside, things like that, right? But you got this, right? But it's all about making your podcast workspace and your podcast work for you and your business and create a win-win situation. And that includes your podcast haven. Okay. So I'm going to end by answering a question that was submitted. Actually, it's like a two-part question. So the question was, how do you achieve a great audio quality in the post-production phase? And the second part of the question was, is there a secret for telling a story and keeping it interesting for the public? So I'm going to answer that now. And so let me answer it in two parts. So because each step requires several keys, I don't have time to dive into all of them, but I am going to answer the question and supply and respond to the question. So, and by the way, if you have questions, that you want me to answer, then I'm happy to do that. So let's talk about, how do you achieve a great audio quality in the post-production phase? Okay. So I jotted down like three things, and again, it's more than that, but you want to focus on noise reduction, like noise reduction tools and plugins to eliminate the noise and the hums that that can occur when you are recording your podcast. Tools like Audacity is an excellent free tool. You can go to Audacity, um, and it's a free tool on Mac as well as Windows, that will help you in the post production. It will also help you in the uh, production phase if you use that platform to record your podcast. So Audacity is one tool. It has a great reduction noise feature, as well as like Riverside. Riverside, I often will recommend. As a matter of fact, it's my platform of choice. I think it's easy to use because when I'm working with my clients, I recommend it because Spotify and Riverside have now partnered, and so you can do all of that in one space. But aside from that, focusing on noise reduction and the editing process, where you're editing, out the mistakes, the long pauses, or the irrelevant, maybe you go on a rabbit trail and you start talking about things that's irrelevant, right? Irrelevant content, right? But you want to keep the flow that's natural and engaging. And so you can do that in the editing process. Also mastering your recording, like in the final, apply a final mastering touches to ensure that your audio sounds is polished and professional. Now, my recommendation for that is, if you are not interested, or maybe you're like, that's a learning curve, that's something I don't want to do, then outsource it. Outsource it. Okay. um, when I'm working with my clients, I teach my clients how to use the platforms and how to do everything inside of one platform, which is why I recommend Spotify for podcasters. Again, because of the Riverside, a partnership that they have with Spotify. You can do everything in one platform. You can even, if you buy Riverside separately, you can do everything just on the platform itself, right? So anyway, so my point is make it as easy as possible, right? So you're not going to all these different platforms. Okay. So let me move to the second part of the question. Second part was, is there a secret for telling a story and keeping it interesting for the public? Right. So my response and my answer to that is, number one, know your audience. Understand who they are, what their interests are, and tailor your content to their preferences and their needs, right? It's one of the reasons why I ask questions, because when people register for this content, I ask the question, what is it that, how can I help you? And what are some questions that you have around that? And so this is why I am creating content around what my audience is looking for, right? So understand who your audience is, what their interests are, and tailor your content around their preferences. Another technique is a strong hook. What is a hook? You may be wondering, especially if you're new. A hook is something that grabs your listener's attention. It might be in the subject line, right? It might be, if you're doing YouTube videos, it might be the thumbnail, something that grabs their attention, right? It could be an intriguing question or a surprising fact or a compelling anecdote, something that grabs their attention, right? You want to use that type of technique. Number three, organize your story. So make sure you have a clear structure from the beginning, the middle, and the end, and make sure that the transitions are smooth to maintain a flow, right, in your storytelling, right? Relatable content. Share stories and examples with your audience. I often share my situation, right? Things that, like what we're talking about now, I'm telling you about how my setup is, right? The other thing is engage with your audience through questions, calls to action, or interactive segments in your podcasting recording, right? So those are just a few ways that you can craft compelling storytelling or integrating compelling storytelling in your podcasting recording, or if you're doing it live, or what have you. It will allow you to capture the audience that you want to speak to, right? And keep them coming back for more. Okay. So I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope that this is something that you got some tips, some strategies, some things that you can apply right away into your podcasting endeavors. Now, if you're interested in closing the gap between where you are now and where you want to go, and you want to fill in that gap, then I invite you to book a success strategy call with me, where I'll share options that's available. And if at that time it makes sense for us to work together, then we'll discuss how to move forward. And so you can do that by going to bit.ly/pod launch strategy. Okay. And all of this information is going to be linked in the show notes, so that you can actually book your strategy call. Okay. Also, I invite you to subscribe to the podcast. Just go to organizedpreneurpodcast.com. You'll see links there where you can click on. Maybe you have a favorite platform that you use for listening. So all the links will be there when you go to organizedpreneurpodcast.com. You can also connect even more by going to the Facebook community, and you can do that by going to businessandpodcastsociety.com. Okay, so those are the ways that you can connect. And again, if you're looking to launch your podcast, make sure you book your success strategy call. Okay, all right, so I want to close with a scripture. So today's scripture is from Psalms 149, verse 4, and this is the NIV version. It says, "For the Lord takes delight in his people. He crowns the humble with victory." Amen. I just love it. So meditate on that scripture. I believe that it will help you as much as it helps me. If you're one that actually loves to read the scriptures. So that's why I like to add scriptures toward the end and close out with that. I like to leave you something to meditate on. Okay. So thank you for joining me. I hope you've been inspired by these tips to transform your podcast haven into a well organized and efficient environment. So, until next time, stay organized and happy podcasting. This is Dream signing off for now. Have an amazing day. Bye.